Okay, I suggest that this is the Fuji X-T2 above all my other ones to watch. And I mean that seriously. And by the way, everybody wanted me. It's like, why do you keep comparing it to the Nikon D500? Everybody wanted me to do that. It's like, well, I'm familiar with how amazing the D500 is, so compare it to the D500. And a lot of people that were calling me a liar about comparing it to D500. You know, so you see right here, this is a D500, and also right here is the D500. I got a lot of testing and a lot of use and a lot of mileage on my Nikon D500. I mean, this one's been, it's been a lot of places with me. I've been rocking a lot of shots. So yes, and here's the X-T2. I can make a valid comparison between D500, got a couple of them right here, and the Fuji X-T2. Let me first off state that I am no fanboy for any damn company. Everybody said, oh, you're a Nikon fanboy, you keep making all these Nikon videos. And then, of course, you know, I rolled out a lot of very valid attack videos on Nikon for the various stupid things that they've done. And if I were a hardcore Fuji fanboy, I would have not have uploaded those two hard lockup videos yesterday. I uploaded 22 videos yesterday, by the way, which is a record even for me. If there is an issue, and listen, I cannot stand, let me tell you what I really hate. I can't stand people that like, oh, you know, they just love any brand. It's like, whatever somebody rolls out, even if it's a turd, like, oh, I love this thing, it's the latest and greatest. There have been some people that recently didn't have a Canon 5D Mark IV because it wasn't out until today, and they're talking about, oh God, you have to order one. It's like, you haven't even had your hands on it yet. That's not a fanboy, that's a Kool-Aid drinker. I'm not a fanboy, I'm not a Kool-Aid drinker, so when I say something's the way it is, you want to test it yourself, don't believe me, fine, but I tell you right now, I don't do any fanboy talk, okay? So when I say something about a camera, I really mean it, because it actually burns a hole in my heart to think that I would say something that's, you know, like total BS about a camera, and then have someone go spend their hard-earned money based upon, you know, me talking Kool-Aid talk. Okay, there's fanboy talk and then there's Kool-Aid talk. Both of them suck. The Kool-Aid talk is bad. Let me get on to the important points of the Fuji X-T2. And I've been beating this camera like a redheaded stepchild. I've been beating it like Joan Crawford used to beat her stepchildren. The X-T2, and this is the comparison that people want. Okay, so why are you doing this? People are familiar with the buffering capability, the low light tracking capability, the autofocus tracking capability of the D500. The X-T2 is on par with in low light autofocus acquisition. Right now I'm talking about autofocus acquisition. It is on par, I've found, test after test after test, with low light autofocus tracking capability with the Nikon D500. In some instances a wee better. In general, I can say it is on par with the D500. As far as the autofocus tracking, it is absolutely superior. I'm talking about birds. I'm not just talking about cars. I did a video yesterday where I showed some motorcycles and cars. It's like, meow, meow. It is better than the D500. Autofocus tracking is better, period. Flat out, bar none, no argument. I don't care if you believe me. Buffering is something else, okay? We have three issues here to discuss. We talk about low light autofocus acquisition. We have to talk about buffering. And then we have to talk about autofocus tracking. Now, compared to this is the important video that people want, and this, please bear with me. I know my voice sucks and all this stuff. I'm ugly, whatever, but I'm going to give you a lot of really, really key points very quickly on the X-T2 that will help you make an informed, logical decision. The X-T2, the important thing, and I was called by a local camera store manager today, and he wanted me to give him a rundown. It's like, you know, when the customers ask me about the X-T2, what are they really key, like, boom, 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 points to tell them on the X-T2? And the important thing is that the X-T2, unlike the Canon 5D Mark III, here's one example. People have been waiting years for the Canon 5D Mark IV, and it's like, well, it's just a little bit better than the 5D Mark III. And it's like, what? There's 4 years passing there. So, no. The X-T2 is not a step above the X-T1 at all. It is literally several many steps above the X-T1. People have not believed me on what I've said about the autofocus tracking. When they confirm it in their hands themselves, then they'll believe me. People did not believe me that the X-T2 is that much better. It is not like the next generation of X-T1. It's not. It's like literally the intermediate ground never existed. There's the X-T1 way the hell over here, and here's the X-T2 way the hell over here. It's not the next step. So that's really important. That's obviously a huge smack in the face. Oh my goodness, that's really good. Does it have the raw buffering of the Nikon D500? Which, it's rocking an XQD card, obviously, in slot 1. No, it does not. I mean, I have the fastest SD cards that money can buy in the Fuji X-T1, the Fuji X-T2, excuse me, and it will be faster too once I get the vertical grip, but I've already done testing with the vertical grip. I know about boost mode, I know about how much faster it's going to get with the vertical grip. So no, it does not have the buffering of huge RAW files that the Nikon D500 has, but nobody in their right mind should expect that to be the case. Does that mean that this is not a great camera for sports action? No, it does not mean that at all. It's a perfect camera for sports action because the autofocus tracking is better. That means I've got fewer misses on, a lot fewer misses on the Fuji X-T2 than I do the Nikon D500. While yes, I do have better buffering on the Nikon D500, the X-T2 hit rate, or the number of shots that are lost on the X-T2 is like, wow, it's nothing. Really, really good, okay? But doing RAW to JPEG and JPEG RAW, I shoot RAW plus fine. Doing backups to both cards. I do have, and I got this information from Fuji Rumors, that if you were to change how it writes the files, you're able to send a lossless compressed RAW files to card 1 and JPEGs to card 2. You do have an absolutely bottomless buffer in boost mode with the vertical grip at 5 frames per second. In other words, you could hold the button down, it will just keep rocking and rocking and rocking until the card's full. So that's really good. So what's the trade-off? You have certainly a better buffering on the Nikon D500, but it's rocking an XQD card. But is that as important as actually hitting the shots? Hitting the shots, I'm pretty sure, is more important. And in that case, the Fuji X-T2 is unquestionably the winner. As I've already stated, for low light autofocus acquisition, they're both basically on par with each other. The value for what the Fuji X-T2 is absolutely incredible. I actually thought it would be $1,800. And the really expensive part of the Fuji X Pro 2 is the hybrid viewfinder. That is muy expensive for Fuji to stick in the X Pro 2. Now, that is one of the reasons why the Fuji X-T2 is so cheap. The build construction, magnesium chassis, it's made in Japan, customer service, really, the Fuji X-T2 is underpriced. I would actually give it 100 out of 100 on a scale of 100 as far as the value, the customer service. I don't say that lightly. I really don't. The top knobs. Now, there are unlocking buttons on the top knobs for ISO and shutter speed. If you're fumble fingers and you're constantly flipping your fingers around, I really don't even see an issue. I can actually never see myself, maybe a situation here or there, where I actually need to lock in my button. The only button I would lock in would be my ISO button, but these actually don't turn that accidentally or easily. So I do love the lock-unlock feature. I'm actually going to leave them unlocked most of the time because I always know where my hands are when they're on my camera. Now, if it's off on your side and it's rubbing against your shirt, obviously that is a point where you would want the buttons locked in. Beautiful, brilliant design feature. The fact that Fuji is also improved, this is really orgasmic to me. The fact that I can actually use this as the play button now, the front function button, so instead of doing this number where I'm actually shooting and I have to go up here with my left, I never have to use my left hand with this camera. I just hit this button for playback and I can go immediately back to shooting, and when I hit playback I can do it again. I got my joystick back. Literally one-handed, I could do everything with this camera, pretty much. Shooting, do a little chimping, shooting, do a little bit of chimping. Don't have to do this number. Go up here, hit the play button. Shoot, hit the play button. That stuff is gone. That is beautiful. Brilliant on you, Fuji, for that one. The button programming is a dream, like I said, for playback. The best JPEGs from anybody. I don't care if it's Canon, Nikon, Sony. Nobody has better JPEGs than Fuji does. Even the people that don't really like Fuji will agree to that fact. So absolutely the best JPEGs of anybody out there. Focus peaking, everybody keeps asking about focus peaking. The focus peaking was already incredible on the X-T1 and X Pro 2. Did it get a little bit better? It did. By much? I can't say much. No, because it was already incredible to begin with. The viewfinder. Oh my god, the viewfinder is not only a lot brighter, but it's a lot bigger. I don't have my X-T1 out here right now, but like if you go back and forth, people say, well, the viewfinder is a lot brighter on the X-T2. Yeah, that's wonderful, but my god, the X-T1 viewfinder was orgasmic. I mean, here's the X-T1 viewfinder. Here's the X-T2 viewfinder. It is literally that much damn bigger and better. It is unbelievable. It's someone that hates everything, being me, I love it. It's, wow. Damn. Yes, damn, it's that good. Damn. Here's the good thing. The X-T2 obviously is a good bit more complicated than the Fuji X-T1 is, but it is easier to use, much more so because of the user-friendly menu. Much more so. It's got a lot more complexity on the Fuji X-T2, but it's a lot easier to use than the X-T1. If you were never a Fuji user to begin with, and you had to start learning on both of them, you would find that even though the X-T2 is a lot more complicated so far as the different little doodads, you can adjust this, adjust that, then the X-T1 is still a lot easier camera to use due to the menu system layout. It just is. Even more so than the X Pro 2 is. The shallow buttons are gone. The one thing that everybody had a hissy fit about were the menu buttons down here were too recessed. You basically kind of had to jab your fingernail in there, not really, but kind of. All the shallow buttons are gone. Of course, now they actually call this a lever. I think it's stupid. Europeans and the Japanese, for some reason, want to call this a lever. Listen, the rest of us Americans call this little thing here a joystick. Let me repeat that to you. Next person that calls this a lever, I'm going to slap you. This is a joystick, okay? It's a clickable joystick. Please, a lever is what we have on a door or on your... No, that's a joystick there. Joystick is incredible. Also, we have clickable, like the Fuji X-T1, excuse me, the X-T10, which came out after the Fuji X-T1. We have clickable front and rear command dials. Dreamboat. We do have raised dials on the X-T2 versus the X-T1. Makes it a lot easier to adjust. You don't actually have to reach in to grab it. You can just reach up there normally, and since it's sticking up about 3.5 millimeters more than the X-T1, they are easier to adjust your shutter speed and ISO on the Fuji X-T2. Absolutely beautiful. Absolutely love the fact the X-T1 shutter release was not that bad, but since we have a threaded shutter release, I have a $2 soft button release here. There's like a million different sort of soft releases that you can get. This makes the X-T2 shutter release very dreamy. You pick the one that you think is the right size and the right feel and the right texture. You can customize your shutter release. Could not do that at all with the X-T1. Very nice, Fuji. Very nice. Shallow buttons are gone. The floppy door issues are totally gone. All the floppy doors, no more floppy doors. Also, you don't have to jack around with an adapter for the microphone jack. They've gone with, thank God, Fuji, they've gone with a normal microphone, one quarter adapter for the microphone. Standard Rode and whatnot adapter. You don't have to buy the little stupid micro stereo adapter. For the Fuji X-T2, that's wonderful. The infrared. I know a lot of you people don't give a damn about infrared photography, but oh my God, I thought, well, maybe it'll be the same, maybe it could be worse. The infrared capability by screwing on a 720 nanometer, the infrared on the Fuji X-T2 is, oh my God, yeah! It's really, really good. Really good. A lot more sensitive and high ISO. This is the only camera where I can actually do walk-around infrared photography. I made a video about that yesterday. If you want me to go into details, watch that video. The X-T2 is mind-blowingly good on infrared photography. Highlight clipping. I did some very specific testing. I got the best light meter in the world and software for checking clipping points. And people ever talk, well, what about dynamic range? What about dynamic range? Well, what about this, girlfriend? The specular clipping point is a half stop better on the X-T2 than it is on the X-T1. It's also a half stop better than the Nikon D500. The Nikon D500 is a wee bit infamous for blowing out your speculars. If you got a high contrast scene, it's like, oh crap, my highlights are gone. You don't have that issue on the Fuji. So everybody wants to talk about dynamic range. That's all well and fine. You know what I care more about, and what you should care about is the fact that it don't clip the highlights. Like you got a high contrast scene, You're like, oh damn, unless I use some fill flash, I'm going to have a problem with clipped highlights. No. I did very, very specific testing, and I was very slow and laborious about it, and I've released the pictures, and I made the video on it. X-T2 specular clipping is a half stop better than the Nikon D500, but it is also a half stop better than the Fuji X-T1, so that is brilliant, awesome, the tits, awesome, incredible. You got 4 metering modes now. Instead of 3 metering modes on the X-T1, you have 4 right down here. You have spot, center, matrix, and average. Okay? You only had 3 metering modes on the X-T1, so you have spot, center, matrix, and average. The playback scrolling, like you want to turn on, do a playback of your shots, and you want to roll through them really quickly. It'll make you scream like a teenage girl at a Justin Bieber concert. It is easily 3 times faster than the Nikon D500. Easily 3 times as fast. I mean, when I've got video proof of that uploaded from yesterday, that I uploaded yesterday, make you scream. It is just insanely fast. It is like, oh my God, this isn't possible. Yes, girlfriend, it is possible. I'm going to do a lot more tutorials and show low-light samples and low-light video. Yes, I have a lot more testing to do on the Fuji. But listen, I uploaded 22 videos. 22 videos on the Fuji X-T2 within a 4-hour period of time. I've been killing myself, lack of sleep, but still, been totally logical. It's not like I've been doing things half asleep. Been beating this camera like Joan Crawford beats her, used to beat her stepchildren. That's awful. I shouldn't say that. And, I'm not been pussyfooting around with this camera. And I don't play any fanboy crap here. If the camera's got an issue or something, if his camera had an issue or has some stuff for me to bitch about, I'd be bitching about it, okay? I mean, I will. I don't do the fanboy crap, because if I do the fanboy or the Kool-Aid talk, then what that means is that I've said something that's not true. Okay, and everybody has their opinions. Like, well, what do you think? No, let's just talk about the empirical facts. There are a lot of people that say, oh, this camera's awesome, and just, it's like, no, you're a fanboy. So anyway, I got to take a phone call, and that's actually the end of the video anyway. Thanks a bunch, okay? Bye.